Welcome to Milestone Moments, the show where we explore the journeys that lead to success. I'm Sheila Slick, your host and founder of 5 Milestones. In every episode, we will bring you insights from the minds of entrepreneurs, leaders, and experts who will share not just their expertise, but the milestone moments that have reshaped their journeys and led to significant achievements. So if you're looking for motivation, you're in the right place. Subscribe now and discover the milestones that mark the path to success. Welcome to another episode of Milestone Moments in Business and Leadership. I'm Sheila Slick, your host. And today, my special guest is Dr. Elizabeth Deggie Dubois, an executive coach, conflict resolution expert, and certified divorce coach who specializes in helping business owners step into their full, unapologetic power. With a Ph.D. in conflict resolution and a master's degree in sociology, Dr. Liz blends academic insight with real-world coaching to help clients break free from people-pleasing, overthinking, and all of the societal programming that holds them back. Through one-on-one coaching, group programs, and public speaking, she guides others to reconnect with their truest selves and lead with confidence, clarity, and deep self-acceptance. Welcome to the show, Dr. Liz.
Thanks for having me.
So your work is all about helping others let go of people-pleasing and to lead from unapologetic power. Can you tell us a little bit about you and what sparked your passion for this kind of deep transformational coaching?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here. I have to say, like all of the coaching lingo, some of this including my own, I'm just like, it's all just kind of a veneer of like, hire me for a high ticket package and I'll like help you transform from the inside out. And I think the coaching industry is really in an interesting space where people are not super interested in that kind of like empowerment sparkle mumbo jumbo. And so the way that I've started to think about my work is really this. People self-sabotage for lots and lots of different reasons. And leaders self-sabotage for a couple of very specific reasons. And when I think about this kind of live your full life and authentic self and leading with your whole heart and blah, 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 what it comes down to is like there's stuff that leaders really, really, really feel passionately about. Like, this is my calling. This is what I'm supposed to do. And I hear that from people that work in the mental health field. I hear that from people that are in sales. I hear that from people that have started their own companies. I hear that from authors, right? Kind of all over the board. But the common thing is I feel like a deep sense of conviction that this is what I'm supposed to be doing in my time on this planet. And so for me, the work that I do is figure out, well, why aren't you doing that? Like, if you're clear that this is what you want, and you know, for any of the people that I've worked with and a lot of the people I've encountered, the issue is not you're not smart enough, right? It's if you're deeply convicted and you're smart enough, you have the skill set, you're talented, right? You want to be doing this. So why aren't you? Right. And that's really what my coaching is all about. It's about pinpointing, like, why is this not moving forward? Why are you sabotaging? Why are you shooting yourself in the foot? And let's do something with that. Because again, I think the coaching space specifically, and I'll say a little bit of the mental health space, but less so, is really about like, you go girl, blah, blah, blah. And the people I work with don't need that kind of sparkle affirmations. What they need is someone to come in and be like, okay, this specific thing that you are doing right here, this one tiny thing, if you can adjust that, shift that, overcome that, let that go, then you're going to move forward really, really fast. Because again, it's not a deficit of interest. It's not a deficit of talent. Oftentimes it's not a deficit of like skill set, like you need to go learn more. It's just that there's one or two particular things where you keep getting stuck because you feel like to move into a new identity where this is really normal for you to be able to do or have this thing, that feels scary. It doesn't feel safe. And so what I find a lot of times is people are like, oh, well, just get out of your comfort zone. You gotta like get out of your comfort zone and just like push yourself. And it's almost setting people up to fail even more, because the truth is, unless you feel safe doing something, you're not gonna do it, right? And so I don't coach a lot of weight loss, but we'll just for the sake of an easy example, right? Let's say you need to lose 100 pounds, like you're very overweight, it's impacting your health. You can't climb up the stairs very easily. You can't play with your kids, blah, 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 right? If you don't feel very safe moving forward and being thin, right? Maybe you had some negative experiences. Maybe you were sexually assaulted growing up and you gained a lot of weight in response because you feel uncomfortable being, a woman with a body in the world. Or maybe it feels very selfish to invest money in a gym membership or in, healthier food for yourself. And so you end up doing things like buying food that's not so healthy because you're not really in a place where it's like, this is something I should prioritize. Am I really worth this? And so when we look at those kinds of factors where it's about, I feel safe pursuing this, not necessarily comfortable, like I'm stoked to go to the gym every day, right? I feel safe having a thinner body. I feel safe having a promotion. I feel safe starting a company, even though my kids are still in preschool. Whatever it is, my work is about safety, pinpointing why you don't feel that yet, right? Where is that space inside of yourself, right? Whether mental, physical, or otherwise, that's making it feel very, very, very unsteady to step into this next iteration of self. That's what my work is about. I don't know. There's lots of different reasons I'm interested in it and got inspired in a lot of different ways. I think most fundamentally, the path was one of my first memories. I was probably 4 years old, just based on where we were living. Was seeing my mom on the telephone and seeing her face just fall, and her best friend had been killed by best friend's husband, and in front of their child. And it just, not at 4, I wasn't like, this is my life's purpose. But from that age on, I had a very real sense of the things that I'm interested in the world have a lot to do with women and safety and relationships and agency and able to speak up for yourself and able to leave. And so from there, kind of pursued that as a career path in a lot of different ways. I started my first consulting firm when I was 24, working specifically on women's issues. And from there, went off to graduate school, focused a lot on women's issues specifically and violence against women, which isn't a women's issue, right? It's a men's issue. If men stopped beating women, we wouldn't have, we wouldn't have violence against women being a women's issue. So it's been an interesting path, but I think the through line has really been, how do people feel safe? And how does that sense of safety prevent them or empower them to move forward in their lives?
And so where does the conflict resolution, because you've got quite the education in conflict resolution, how does that fit in the big picture, or what led you to focus on that for your PhD?
That's actually a really interesting story. So I thought I was going to get a PhD in sociology. I was doing a PhD in Urozishing. I was doing a master's degree in sociology, and I had taken one class. It was summer 2010. I had taken a class called Violence Against Women or Women in Violence, something like that. And it just, this was it, man. This was what I wanted to do. I was 100% certain, like, this is what I wanted to study. And the person teaching that class was a professor at now the School for Conflict Analysis, the Carter School at George Mason, but at the time it was like the Institute for Conflict Analysis. And I was just like, this is it. I want to switch majors. This is what I'm going to do. And I had gone to Cambodia to do a research project on sexual violence. And I was sitting on the top of a hostel in Cambodia. I was looking out over the river in Phnom Penh, and I'm meditating, and I'm like watching Buddhist monks come and like ask for their breakfast, and I'm meditating in this beautiful space. And I just had this sense of like, I'm leaving sociology, I'm going into conflict resolution. Like, this is the thing. And I emailed that professor, sitting on this roof. I emailed Leslie Dwyer, and I said, I'm going to switch. Like, this is what I'm going to do. And she said, no, you're not. You are going to stay in your master's degree and apply to your PhD program here at ICAR. And I was like, no, but they don't accept people unless they have master's degrees. And she's like, or do they? Right. And so I applied, and I was one of 12 people to get in, and I was really grateful to have a full ride. And it was just like a tremendous honor to go to school there and to go to school with people who had really pioneered the field, the academic field of conflict analysis and resolution. Like they had started this program, a lot of them that were kind of the giants whose shoulders I was standing on had started, had incubated this project that is now the Carter School. And it was just magical to get to be there.
So you skipped the master's. You went straight into a PhD.
No, I finished the master's while starting the PhD. But like as a fun twist, I also had been awarded a fellowship to go study in Moscow at the Higher School of Economics for a semester. So I was starting my PhD, ending my master's degree, and studying in Moscow all at the same time. And it was a blast. I would do it all over again in seconds.
Oh, well, my daughter just did. It's called direct entry. That's why I was asking, did you do direct entry? She went from a bachelor's straight into a PhD program. It's not easy, but you are able to do that in case anyone out there aspires for a
You
PhD.
couldn't do it in 2008. That's always been a thing, right? But the global everything had collapsed in 2008. I lived in Miami at the time. People were jumping off of their buildings because they couldn't make the condo payments, and they made all these crazy like short sale investments and whatnot. And so I applied to 5 different PhD programs, and I'd like to think that I'm like smart and was well qualified. And every single one of them said, right now we're not accepting direct applicants because everyone wants to go to grad school because everybody's losing their jobs because the global economy is melting before our eyes. So it was a slightly different time. And I'm curious to see what happens right now with such widespread concerns about the economy happening. Like, is that going to change the trajectory of what grad school looks like for people, especially with student loans kind of morphing a bit?
So tell us a little bit about how you work, perhaps how you help everyone reconnect with the version of themselves before all that societal BS takes over.
Fundamentally, people move forward when they feel safe. Safety comes down to, I believe that if I'm to move forward in this way that I want to move forward, it's going to be okay. And a lot of this kind of societal messaging, a lot of that comes from our parents, right? Or mom and dad, or mom and mom, like whatever configuration. A lot of that comes from, these are the expectations that I have for you. And that's communicated directly, indirectly, it's modeled for us, whatever. Lots of messages that come our way about who we're allowed to be. And if the thing that you really want, right, in the first question you asked me, like you're calling, the thing that you really want is counter to how your parents wanted you to be, or the messages that you've got writ large from society, you're going to really struggle with allowing yourself to be that person. And so before you can move forward, you kind of have to break that open and say, well, I feel stuck in this way. I'm really frustrated. I don't know how to move forward. Right. And we're going to be able to say, well, okay, what about the thing that you want would piss off the people that raised you? Right. And that's a really good starting point question of like, oh, okay, every single person I work with has an answer to that, right? Immediately. Right. They might not be able to be like, oh my gosh, I'm just stuck. Oh, I'm so stuck. I'm shooting myself in the foot. Right. If you ask the question, well, this thing you want to do, how would it piss off your mom? Right? How would it piss off your dad? People immediately have an answer, right? And from there, we can start to work through it, right? That's the kind of like ground zero for societal BS is, I expect you to be a thing, right? I expect you to be this kind of way.
Where can we find you? Online?
Sure, my website is just drlizdubois.com, which is DRLIZDUBOIS.com. That's drlizdubois.com. That's the easiest way to reach me. You can hop on my website and book a consult call there. I hang out a bunch on Facebook, which is my full name, which is just Elizabeth Deggie. That's DEGI Dubois. So Elizabeth DEGI and then space DUBOIS. I put up a ton of content on there and on LinkedIn. And you should come find me. And I generally have 2 to 3 spaces open. Not always, but in general, I have 2 to 3 spaces open for executive coaching. So if you are in a place in your career where you know you're not really scratching the surface yet of what you really want to be doing, or you're pretty far down the field and you're like, oh, I keep getting, like, I just can't get out of my way. I have all this potential and I'm just like fighting myself every step of the way and what's going on. I'm your girl. So reach out. I help people stop shooting themselves in the foot. Oftentimes my clients will have gone to therapy for many years and not gotten that forward momentum because they're just dealing with the feelings without actually identifying kind of strategy behind what to do after that. So I have people that spent years in therapy, thousands of dollars on courses, working with other coaches around productivity and habits and blah, 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 blah. They come to me, we move forward pretty quickly. Most of my clients make, I want to say 25% more fairly quickly, whether through promotions or they increase their business. And generally, people will have doubled their income within the first 2 years of working with me. So a lot of people work with me for 3 months and we get at the root cause of what's going on and we deal with it and they go on and they build from that. And that's where that increase comes. Or they continue on with me in the form of weekly or biweekly coaching and we move at a much more accelerated rate. So that's how to find me. And that's why to work with me if you are stuck and screwing yourself over.
So, what is your next milestone?
I think it's twofold. So, my big goal when my kid started after the pandemic, really, my kid turned 11 yesterday. And my big goal was to know and be known in his school. I wanted to know all the teachers. I wanted to know the principal and the staff and all of that. And then I wanted them to know me. I wanted to be the PTA mom. I wanted to be the mom, decorating cupcakes and whatnot. And so my big milestone is my kid is gonna be done with elementary school in 3 weeks, 4 weeks, something like that. And so I'm looking forward to getting to build those relationships at middle school with his teachers and the PTA. So that's my next big milestone. I'm really cognizant of the fact that like I've only got 7 more years on the clock before he goes and does college or the military or whatever he chooses to do. So that's my big one is to get intertwined with middle school and really get to be a presence there so that I can support him in the way that my mom supported me while I was growing up. And then the other one is I'm writing a novel. I've written a nonfiction dissertation that I turned into a book, but I've never written a novel. And so that's called Bad Mom. And my goal is to have it out in May of next year. So a year from now. And stay tuned.
Well, I'd love to have you back, talk about Bad Mom, even though it's not connecting because you just talked about how you wanna be a major part of your child's middle school years, so that
You know,
not a bad mom.
well, I'm a recovering drug addict and I'm recovering alcoholic. So I have 18 and a half years of freedom from alcohol. And in August will be 4 years. So I guess 3.5 years of freedom from Xanax and marijuana. And so I think any person who lives in a professionally elite space that has struggled with drugs and alcohol can really tell you like there's some imposter syndrome that goes along with that and kind of, can I bounce back from this and how do I really feel like I deserve a seat at the table even though, I made these choices and this happened. And so certainly for parents, I went to my first 12-step meeting 19 April 6th was 19 years ago. So 19 years and a month ago. And in that time I've met just like so many moms that just rake themselves across the coals because of stuff that they actually did or the way that things could have gone if something had gone badly. And yeah, so it's a little bit of my story of dealing with my Xanax uh addiction, and it's a lot not my story of just coming into your own and doing the thing and having good sex and raising a great kid and all that sort of stuff.
Wanna thank you for sharing insights, having such an open conversation with not just myself, but everyone that, is tuned in.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
And thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Milestone Moments in Business and Leadership. Until next time.
I'm here on the job site with Dale, who's a framing contractor.
Hey, good morning.
Dale traded up to Geico Commercial Auto Insurance for all his business vehicles. We're here where he needs us most.
Yep, they sure are.
We make it easy for him to save on all his insurance needs, all in one place, with coverage that fits his business and bottom line. Oh, I shouldn't have looked down.
It's all right.
We're so far up here.
Look at me. Take a deep breath.
Oh, I'm good. So good.
Get a commercial auto insurance quote today at geico.com and see how much you could save. Get more with Geico.